If you are in the cryptocurrency space, if you've invested in any of these tokens, coins, securities, commodities, we're going to figure out what Congress wants to call them. We know what the SEC is trying to do. But if you are in cryptocurrency, digital assets as we know them at all, you need to see this video. So please help me out, guys. Smash this video. Make sure that you share this message far and wide, and let's get right into it. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a securities law expert to understand what I'm about to break down. We just got a historical ruling in the XRP community, big victory for us, and we understand that XRP in and of itself is not a security. You have to understand that many of these tokens in and of themselves are not securities, but many of these projects did ICOs. They raised funds from investors to get their project developed, to market out their project, to pay influencers to shield their project. And within those investment offerings, those investment contracts that they did for the ICOs, that is the investment contract that makes up the security offering. So the token itself, and I'm not going to name any of the tokens, but you know what I'm talking about. You had the Ethereum free pass, tens of thousands of tokens created on top of that free pass that Ethereum got, all these ERC20 tokens. Now, Ethereum was one of the biggest ICOs in the space, right? And then we saw all these other tokens come after Ethereum. So when we go to look at our investments in these digital assets, you need to understand if your project can handle the SEC coming after them for an ICO offering. See, the SEC is going to lose jurisdiction over much of this space when it comes to these tokens, most of them being classified as some sort of commodity or currency. In the FinCEN ruling, XRP was deemed to be a virtual currency. In Judge Torres' order on summary judgment, she said XRP is a digital token that in and of itself is not a security. But the institutional sales from Ripple to institutions, that was the securities offering. That's the part of the case that's continuing on to trial. XRP in of itself is not a securities offering, is not an investment contract, which makes sense. I think it was a good ruling from the judge. But this is the ammunition. This is what the SEC needed to go after the rest of the space. And this is why I want everybody who's invested in cryptocurrency digital assets to see this video. I'm going to try to summarize this real quick, how this is going to play out. The SEC is going to turn its crosshairs on those with the biggest check that they can go collect. They still might get a settlement from Ripple, might be a historical settlement, $200, $500 million from Ripple. But they are going to be going after the rest of the space. They're going to target where they can get the most money. And they're going to be able to go after many of these companies. Now, here's the thing. Even if the SEC goes after these companies, does it mean that the token or the ledger is going to cease to exist or stop? Not necessarily, because the token itself is most likely not going to be the security. The securities offering is going to be that ICO, that initial fundraising that that company did. Now, you have to ask the question, does that company have $200 million like Ripple did to spend fighting the SEC? Ripple cut a check for about $200 million to their lawyers to fight the SEC. Many of these companies don't have a few million bucks in the bank. So we have to understand that even though the token that we bought might not be a security, and we don't have to worry about it being a security, what happens when the company behind this project, the main driver of this ecosystem, has to turn all of their attention and resources to fighting the SEC? That's where the problem's going to come in. And if you read through the crypto bill, from my understanding, and I haven't read the full thing, basically, they're giving a safe harbor passage for some of the exchanges. Excuse me. Some of the exchanges are going to get a safe harbor passage, the ability to come into compliance, whether that's the CFTC or the SEC or a combination of the two that they're going to have to deal with. When it comes to the SEC, they're going to have jurisdiction over those ICOs, which many of them will be classified as unregistered securities offerings because they meet the prongs of that Howey test, right? An investment of money in a common enterprise based off the efforts of others with the expectation of profit. That's what most of those ICOs were. And many of those projects weren't developed out, they weren't completed upon that investment. And so literally those funds were being pooled so that we could work on building something out. You meet the prongs of that Howey test. But it doesn't mean that the underlying token is necessarily a security. It means that that ICO offering that was offered to, an institutional investor, or what took place during the last bull run was all of these launch pads got fired up, which was basically the Silicon Valley version of crypto, all these launch pads, all these launch pad DAOs that allowed all these folks to invest into tokens early stage. Many influencers did this, where they would receive tokens as compensation for then shilling that token to you. You guys know that I've never done any shilling and I've never taken any check from any project, never done one sponsorship deal. If you want to use our affiliates to support the show, we really do appreciate that. Those are all at my website, zachrector.com. But no sponsorship checks over here, no shilling happening over here. I just talk about my program and how I'm moving my money and how I'm protecting my money. But many of these influencers took checks in the form of tokens from these projects during the launch pad phase, during the ICO phase, call it whatever you want, and then they shilled it out to the masses. That is an investment contract. That is some sort of scheme to offer a security. And that's where the SEC is going to be able to go after these guys and kill them. They're not going to be able to afford to fight these cases like Ripple, and they don't have the facts and the circumstances on their side. They should have, understood the securities laws, because you don't have to be an expert in law to understand that many of these ICOs meet the four prongs of the Howey test and constitute an investment contract that the SEC is going to have jurisdiction over with, that they should have been registered for. Their project was not developed or built out. They needed that money to build it out, and they got that money based off of an investment, based off of an expectation of profits off of their efforts. I mean, you don't have to be a securities law expert to understand that. And so I'm trying to get this message out. Please share this message far and wide for everyone in the crypto space to understand whether or not your crypto that you've invested in is going to continue to have development, continue to have the ecosystem grow, if the main company behind it gets sued. If the main company behind it has to fight like Ripple did. And what are the facts and the circumstances around that ICO? I compared the Algorand ICO with the Ethereum ICO. You guys can search that video on YouTube. It's a great little simple breakdown comparing the two ICOs and the differences between them. And I think that the Algorand ICO was much cleaner than the Ethereum ICO, but it doesn't mean that they're still not going to be able to go after Algorand. Now, the good news for Algorand is that the CEO of Algorand is best buddies with Gary Gensler, so maybe they won't get taken down. But right now, we're in the middle of a bear market. We started to see some coins recover. Many folks are starting to speculate that we could be entering into that bull run by next year. I'm in the same camp. I do believe that we start to go into the next bull run, which will be based off of utility. And that's why XRP, XLM, and XDC have been ripping over the past week since we got that ruling from Judge Torres. But when it comes to the rest of your bags, I don't own many of these tokens. So I'm just sitting back chilling. In the XRP community, we have clarity. We're going to start building. But for the rest of the space, you guys hold 20 different, 50 different coins. So take a serious look at your bag right now, folks. I'm not trying to, sell fear. I want you to understand what you hold with this perspective. You don't need to be a securities law expert to understand, wow, the project that I invested in did an unregistered securities offering with their ICO fundraising. They also have not had much development. There's not much going on. And if the company that has been the sole provider of development on that ecosystem gets sued, there's not going to be any future development. This project is going to be essentially dead. Now, does it mean that the token that I hold within my wallet is the security? No, right? You can call your token whatever you want, whether it's a commodity or whether it's a currency. But the SEC is going to kill the main company that's behind the development within that ecosystem. You essentially hold a dead project. So, I'm not saying to move all your money into XRP because we now have clarity over here. I'm not telling you what to do at all. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of perspective to look at your bag and consider the implications of the SEC having jurisdiction to go after your project that you hold. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. We got a lot that we're working in on the back end with our Discord community. Right now, if you're looking to get tapped in, it's a great time to join. You just head on over to my website, zachrector.com. You sign up for Patreon to get access to the Discord group. And we have a family over there that is making moves. And I'm just so proud of what we built out over there, the momentum behind us, exclusive offerings only happening over there. And I am going to be recording an emergency message for my Discord community here today. So we just had something happen. And so there's going to be an emergency message that's exclusive for the Discord community. If you're looking to get tapped in over there, like I said, it's all at my website, zachrector.com. So please help me out by smashing the thumbs up on this one and sharing this message far and wide. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.